All right, let's jump right into this explainer with a mind-blowing thought experiment. Imagine you earned $1 every single second. Round the clock, 24/7. How long do you think it would take you to get rich?
Well, the answer is actually kind of terrifying. To make $1 million at a rate of $1 per second, it would take you about 11 and a half days. But to make $1 billion at that exact same rate, it would take you over 31 and a half years. This staggering difference perfectly illustrates the insanely massive gulf between being what we might call normal rich and being truly ultra rich. We often lump the wealthy into one big group, but the truth is, there are distinct levels to wealth. And as you climb this ladder, the way you experience the world, the way you spend money, and even the way you perceive reality changes entirely.
It all comes down to the relativity of wealth. When your income scales by 10,000 times, say comparing a typical $40,000 salary to a massive $400 million windfall, prices actually shrink proportionally in your mind. Buying a brand new $300,000 Lamborghini literally feels to them the exact same way spending $30 on a moderately priced dinner feels to a normal earner. A $10 million piece of rare art, that feels like dropping a mere $1,000. And a $50 million Hamptons mansion feels like spending just $5,000. The math is wild, but it completely explains why the ultra-wealthy don't even blink at purchases that would seem monumental to the rest of us. It is quite literally a different financial reality. So let's start our climb at level 1, the top 1%, meaning an income over $200,000 a year. It sounds culturally synonymous with extreme wealth, but the reality on the ground is a bit different. You probably have a really nice house and a great car, but high lifestyle costs mean your wealth is still entirely tied to your daily labor. You can't just stop working. Moving up to level 2, comfort and security, which is a $10 to $30 million net worth. Here, wealth shifts from an annual salary to your overall net worth. Your money is finally working for you, securing basic needs and some serious luxury. Though surprisingly, elite banks still don't officially consider you ultra high net worth yet. Next up is level 3, the big leagues, $30 to $100 million in net worth. You aren't just an employee anymore. You likely control major companies. First-class flights are replaced by private jets, and you've essentially bought your way out of normal, everyday societal inconveniences. But a really fascinating psychological trap emerges at this specific level. Your social circle has drastically elevated, right? You're now socializing with senators, congressmen, and top community leaders. You are highly respected. However, because you're constantly surrounded by the ultra-wealthy, this strange phenomenon occurs, called wealth envy. Even with tens of millions of dollars in the bank, these individuals still look up the ladder and feel deeply inadequate. You might be totally thrilled with your new Ferrari, but then you watch your friend pull up in a limited edition version where only 5 were ever manufactured. Or you might host a local governor for dinner, only to find out your billionaire buddy just dined with the president. It just goes to show that human nature and the pain of comparison don't magically vanish just because your bank account explodes. If anything, the envy just gets a lot more expensive. Which brings us to level 4, the limitless experience, $100 million to $1 billion in net worth. At this tier, your mind is truly your only limit. You're no longer just buying products, you are buying unparalleled, completely impossible experiences. To understand this level of extravagance, get this. There's an Australian company that literally produces 22-karat gold toilet paper. The cost? Over $1.3 million per roll. It is designed for people who quite literally want to flush their fortune down a matching solid gold toilet. At this tier, standard luxury is just boring. You're looking for the bizarre, the unbelievable, and the entirely bespoke. Whether it's making a $100,000 donation just to play a private tennis match with a Grand Slam champion, or having the curator of the Louvre open the doors after hours for a private viewing of hidden masterpieces, the word no completely disappears from your vocabulary. Or how about upgrading your smartphone? You could snag a custom iPhone encased in 24-karat gold, encrusted with over 600 white and black diamonds, and protected by sapphire glass. The price tag for this little device is over $15 million. This perfectly illustrates that at this 4th level of wealth, purchasing behavior is no longer about function. Honestly, it's barely even about luxury anymore. It is purely about extreme exclusivity. It's about the sheer thrill of owning things that absolutely no one else on the planet possesses. To manage this crazy level of exclusivity, wealthy individuals actually employ dedicated staff whose sole job is to hunt down the rarest, most absurd items imaginable. We're talking about things like Damien Hirst's famous contemporary art piece, which is an actual dead shark preserved in formaldehyde that sold for $12 million. or the exact crystal piano used in the Beijing Olympic Games scooped up at a private auction for $3.2 million, or even a $160,000 diamond-studded pen where only 8 are produced annually worldwide. When you have hundreds of millions in the bank, you are constantly chasing the thrill of the unattainable, gladly paying top dollar just for the privilege of saying you're the only one who has it. Finally, we reach level 5, the billionaire class, $1 billion and up. This is the absolute peak of the pyramid, where the normal rules of reality essentially bend to your will. To give you a sense of just how exclusive this club really is, take a look at this number, 2,755. According to Forbes' annual tracking, this is roughly the tiny number of known billionaires currently walking the earth today. Now, sure, there are likely a few more who possess quiet, generational wealth and employ massive legal teams to stay strictly off these public lists, but broadly speaking, it is a remarkably small room of people dictating a massive portion of the global economy. And here is where the scale of that wealth becomes incredibly difficult for our brains to even process. This staggering comparison reveals that those roughly 2,700 individuals hold an estimated combined wealth of $13.1 trillion. To put that into perspective for you, this tiny, ultra-exclusive club holds more combined wealth than the poorest 5 billion people on the planet combined. It's a concentration of resources that is just mind-boggling. So let's break down what $1 billion actually buys, because it isn't just super yachts or fancy cars anymore, it is power. First, it buys access. You can have your staff contact almost anyone on the planet, including heads of state, and get a call back within the hour. Second, influence. You have the leverage to shape public policy and global debates, often acting as major political donors. Third, impact. Through massive philanthropy, you can fund entirely new hospitals, bring clean water to remote regions, or single-handedly try to save a dying species. But finally, and honestly perhaps most importantly, $1 billion buys time. Remembering our $1 per second hook from earlier, time is the ultimate luxury. You never wait. You don't wait in lines, you don't wait for flights, you don't wait for tables. Everything is preemptively arranged by your dedicated staff so that your life has absolutely zero friction. But wait, before you get too envious of a totally frictionless existence, let's explore the hidden costs and look at the things that all that money simply cannot buy. Because when you have unlimited resources, your emotional relationships become a literal minefield. Suddenly, your world is flooded with yes men and people harboring hidden agendas. Because everyone wants a piece of you, genuine connections become incredibly rare, and your fundamental trust in family and friends can be severely eroded. The isolation at the top is profound. Furthermore, dating becomes highly skewed. Whether you pay for everything or your partner is independently wealthy too, the power dynamic is permanently altered. It makes it immensely difficult to find someone who loves you purely for who you are, rather than what you can provide. The wealth effectively creates an invisible, bulletproof wall between you and the rest of humanity. And ultimately, there is one major reality check that awaits every single tier of wealth, as perfectly illustrated by a tragic story involving Hollywood icon Sylvester Stallone. Despite having immense fame, hundreds of millions in wealth, and luxury beyond measure, Stallone tragically lost his special needs son at a very young age. As he noted to someone who met him, nobody has it all. Mortality, failing health, and the devastating loss of loved ones are universal human experiences. They are the ultimate problems that absolutely no amount of earthly money can ever solve. So, after exploring all these wild extremes together, here is a serious plot twist for you to think about. Consider your own baseline right now. If you have a roof over your head, some food in your fridge, clothes on your back, and access to the internet to watch this explainer, you are already sitting comfortably in the top 25% of the world's wealth. It's incredibly easy to look up the ladder and feel frustrated by what you don't have, but looking down the ladder reveals a much more grounding reality. Because ultimately, the line we draw between rich and poor is completely arbitrary. In fact, if you have exactly $1 to your name right now and zero debt, you are technically wealthier than the vast majority of the global population who are either severely impoverished or drowning in negative net worth. Recognizing your own baseline wealth is the true great equalizer.